Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Loan Officer Life, Hustle, Heart, and Home Ownership. My guest needs no introduction, mainly because he's already done this twice with me, maybe even three times. But all the same, I've got Abdel from PRMG and the East Coast, right? New Jersey. That's home base for you, Abdel. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for answering the call, guys. I put out a call to my my network, and we're in the dog days of summer, as they say in baseball terms, but it's also the same in real estate and mortgage finance. And I'm hearing a lot of people that are struggling, honestly, and not too surprised, right? I mean, the market is what the market is, but it seems like every time I hear about someone that's struggling, I see something that you're doing, Abdel, or your team is doing to win and actually grow in spite of what is otherwise a challenge market. And I thought we could just spend, the next half hour kind of talking specifically about how you're winning and creating opportunity for you and your team. Again, despite the headwinds that others are seemingly having. So first of all, thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, always a pleasure. Appreciate you and everything that you guys do. I'm going to get right into it. Right before this call, me, I'm all about preparation, which is probably one of the reasons that allows us to be successful, as we all know, right? But I did a whole acronym. So if anyone's watching this right now, grab your pens, grab your pads, and write these down. I do, as you know, Brian, I meet with a lot of different teams. We do a lot of different coaching, started switching it over to doing masterminds for business owners and stuff. And I'll never forget, I started remembering that, I have the mortgage and real estate teaching, so we'll teach at school and stuff. And I always remembered when I was a kid, whether it was in high school or college or when I went for my master's, was I used to like to teach myself to write in acronyms. Right?
Yes.
So it was like the Graham-Leach-Bliley, right? When we were kids, like GLB, it's like, what the hell is that? And it was like, all right, SPF. So it was like safeguard, pretext, financial privacy. And when you think of SPF, it's obviously now it's summer in Jersey. I'm tan, which is great. So you put SPF to protect yourself from the sun. The whole purpose of the Graham-Leach-Bliley was for just safeguard, pretext, financial privacy. So now, which is crazy, right? So I'll never forget that. And I got my license years ago. So now when I present, I start presenting like that with the acronyms. And it's funny, when you asked me, we're going to go off this topic. I'm huge into AI, right? If you're not implementing AI and technology in some fashion, you might as well hang the gloves, right? Because it's here, it's there, it's evolving on a crazy basis, whether you're using it at the bare basics or you're truly diving into it, right? But the acronym that I want us to write down is called Clear Victory. So CLEAR and then victory. And I wrote it down, and I'll try my best to not cheat and look at the answers. But
I'm gonna put all this in the notes too, guys. So yeah. I'll put the full acronym, and as well as the notes that Abdel sent me ahead of time in the show notes.
So the first thing I asked, right, was what's allowing us the ability to be successful. So of course, in our head, it could be something that we just did 2 minutes ago. And it's like, well, I know how to structure tough deals, right? So does everybody else, right? Rates obviously is never a topic of conversation. I'm never telling a client on the first initial conversation what's your interest rate. The actual reality when a client asks me that is, I have no idea, right? We don't know the collateral that you're buying. We don't know your credit score yet. We don't know how much money you're going to potentially put down or need to put down. We don't know your debt to income, which could potentially affect your mortgage insurance, which is not going to affect your rate. Thank God, that was going to be a disaster, right? Yeah. But it's going to affect your mortgage insurance, which could potentially change your payment. So I can't really give you that an answer. But let me go back and start from there, right? So the acronym's clear. So the C stands for content, right? Doing stuff like this, podcasts, YouTube videos, obviously your Instagram reels, your TikTok reels, your educational posts. I'm always playing around with various different things and looking to change styles, right? We always used to do the daily interest rate update. And it was like a one picture. So I'm like, oh, it's kind of tacky. Let's change it. So I changed it to like a cool little video, right? Where the team goes to Mortgage News Daily, snips it, puts a video in Canva, updates it every single day, right? There is an update for if you're dealing with a client. And I can't tell you how many clients actually reach out and they're like, hey, I'm actually interested in refinancing. And I saw that you posted something short, something sweet. I create the initial design. I have our teammates, now my 13-year-old, actually helping to create some of that design. Because, people like us, we're just like, yeah, this is cool. All right, keep it moving. So that's that, right? So content is huge, right? And I love the ability to, when a client asks a question, for you to not only share the answer, provide the Fannie Mae selling guide or the HUD handbook excerpt that specifically answers their question on OT, bonus, commission, whatever it is, but then also share a past PDF that you've created or a past video that you've done. It reiterates again the fact that you are the expert in your field, right? You're not someone who's just going to a chat GPT and asking that question, right? You're actually, you've done your diligence, you've answered a specific question, and you're not fearful of sharing that information with that potential client. It's going to allow, again, that ability for you to truly win the consumer and get their trust, right? The next one being, I lost it. I knew I'm going to try to memorize it, but I'd rather get it. Leveraging systems and follow, right? Which is huge. I mean, from leaning on platforms like Model Match with Eric and his team to obviously FinLocker with yourself and Chris and all the super, super cool stuff that is evolving with your platform, that is evolving with Eric's platform, to Calendly, to obviously AI, which I won't even dive in because we'll be here for 3 hours. But also it's understanding I don't need 17,000 tools to sit there and be successful. I was just on a call, literally trying to get off a call with a realtor partner who was so grateful for the services that we do. He's changing teams from one organization to another. And he was like, dude, I'm so sorry I haven't been able to give you business. I'm like, dude, you're good. You got a lot going on. Our team is there to help do the automation follow-up. We've integrated some AI tech stacks to help him automate his business. Zapier lead comes in, boom, team calls immediately, calls an extension of himself. So you'll get there. You might just be going through a slump right now. But don't ever feel the need to see there and be like, hey, I know we haven't done anything. I'm trying to put it. I get it. I know you are. And I know you're not working with somebody else because Eric and his team at Model Match gives me the data to tell me if you are.
Right.
And they know that I'm like that, right? So leveraging those tools, right? The fortunes and the follow-up, like we all know. You can't, I don't care how many leads you buy, how much conversations you have, how many home buying seminars you do. If your follow-up game is not there with your follow-up, follow-through, and follow back, you're just wasting money and wasting time and energy, right?
Yeah, it's, what, people underestimate that part of it. And I think, I don't know if it's human nature or what it is, but I just think about myself as a consumer with other products and services. And there may be a point in time when I was really interested. Either I made a call or I got a call, but I'll, like I just told you before we went live, I floated in my pool for 8 hours over the weekend. So I wasn't thinking about anything relative to that product or services that I checked out the Thursday before the 4th of July. And so the follow-up is key because consumers are busy. They're inundated with their own lives, their own business, what they're doing just to kind of keep their business going. And so, we should not be fearful or ashamed of a good follow-up system.
No, and you bring a good point, and I'll touch on it very briefly on content, right? You got to share your personal and your professional, right? 120%. The fact that my daughter is now working with us, right? People love that, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a point where she's working with us. We were also showing how we practice what we preach, right? She's got her bank account. She's now added on 6 credit cards as an authorized user. When I sit there and teach my clients do this, I'm actually doing it with my own child.
Yeah.
So if I sit there and tell you, hey, let's do this, hey, let's do that, I could tell you all this, and you might just look at me like I'm looking at you as a dollar sign. The reality of it is that wealth building is being implemented. And when you could see that with our children as well, the reality is that, right? I'll blow through this quickly, so just for the sake of time, but E stands for equity. So right now, $11 trillion of equity, right? That is out there, tappable equity. I think there's so much, I always call it the ESPN, stats where it's how oh, Michael Jordan was the first person to score as many points, but then he missed this many shots, but he was the first one to have rebounds. But $11 trillion in equity. And going back to my point, I think supposedly, I could be wrong, the HELOCs actually outpaced mortgages for the first time last year.
Yeah, I could see where that could be the case.
So pretty cool, right? So we launched our lightning fast HELOC. Of course, you know me, I'm all about the domains. So we bought gothelocks.com. So now a client goes and they're interested in a HELOC, and we just go, dude, go to gothelocks.com. You apply, you're approved. It's powered with Figure. There's no title, appraisal, closing costs, anything like that. I say you apply just like when you're doing a buy here, pay later, right? With Klarna or Affirm, you're approved right on the spot. Connect your bank account, applied, boom. Tight credit box. So I tell the client, listen, apply there. If you do not get approved here, we have the traditional fashion of appraisal, title, underwriting, and all that stuff. And it's great, right? Some clients will approve, especially right now, heavily. We've been very busy with the non-QM side. So your bank statements, your P&L, your obviously typical DSCRs, but we've been crushing it on bank statements because those consumers is not your typical just, hi, I'm a mortgage guy, you're a real estate agent, let's work.
Right.
It's your financial advisors, it's your CPAs who are looking for that trusted professional again, who is going to be authentic, transparent, and actually understand the language that they're talking, right? So that has been huge. Speaking of that, authentic leadership, right? Practicing what you preach, right? I'm, as you know, a 4 a.m. guy. Sometimes 4:30, right? The last couple of days, dragging my feet a little bit. Gym opened at 7, which kind of sucks. So I'm literally sitting there. It's like 4 a.m. and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Because your body's programmed. I went to Cali last month. Talk about my sleep schedule being all over the place.
Right.
Get back to the room at like 11, 12, and then I'm up like 2 hours later, which was not fun. But practicing what you preach, and then when you are practicing what you preach, giving it out with clarity, right? I'm not asking for buy-ins from my teammates, from my loan officers, from our realtors. I'm going to earn it, right? And I'm going to earn it by example, whether it's through production or whether it's just through the true value offerings that we want to put in front of you. Reputation, obviously, you know me. I eat, sleep, breathe that. From obviously our brand. The only thing I rep is our Got Mortgages brand, and we have fun with it, right? This was our 4th of July like gear with the American flag and print and stuff. But reputation and branding, and it allows the ability to do the social selling for you, right? If somebody Googles who is this person's name, they're going to Google, and then they're going to be like, okay, this person clearly does mortgages. This person clearly has a rooted foundation of doing education and following up and stuff like that. Might click, might not. I had one client who actually said, that's funny, it's still ingrained in my head. He was a blue collar truck driver. And, I had my kind of like my older branding where I always had like my Got Mortgages t-shirt and I was pointing.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, maybe you should get a professional picture. and it kind of hurt because I was like, I've always tried to cater to the consumer, that comfort level. Then I started saying, all right, well, maybe it's not going to click with every single client. So maybe a suit does work. Maybe a suit doesn't work, right? I might have a different stance on this the next time I come on the podcast, right? But I took that into consideration. So when I was at corporate, I was like, yo, I want some updated headshots.
Yeah.
And we did, and now we've kind of used some cool updated headshots, right? But so that's on the clearer side, right? Victory obviously comes down to visibility and proximity. So I obviously started noticing our online exposure was there, but I really didn't want to like leave the comfort of, to an extent, the house and stuff like that. You got acclimated during COVID, and then 2022, I'm like, I gotta get out of the house. One, I'm gonna tell my wife to go screw herself because we're fighting every 2 seconds. And then two, like, people know you, people trust you, but then they're like, who's this, 6'2", 290-pound guy who's just always on and doing just close, just this, just that.
Yeah.
And so we started actually start going to open houses. Of course, networking events has been huge because people actually meet you and you can have educated conversations, right? Where they're like, oh, this person is actually not as aggressive as we once thought. This person is actually pretty cool.
Right.
So that has been huge because it's allowed us to grow into now having the mastermind groups, right? And
let me ask a quick question on that because I have a thought on this. The strategy of getting local and visible, like in real life, I don't think a lot of people talk about it. I don't think a lot of people are actually putting it in practice. And I bet you see this and before we went live, we were talking about an event you host at your house. I think people are generally like, they want that interaction. They're starving for it, and it feels like there's just an opportunity if you can figure out how to get yourself local and physical in real life. It's a differentiator.
I mean, listen, if you're a family guy like we are, right, you're gonna have those difficult conversations with your wife, where your significant other, where they're like, hey, what the hell? You were just out 2 days ago. You're going out again. So luckily, my wife and I have a good relationship. She's got access to my calendar. She knows normally I'm prepping her. Hey, heads up, this week's gonna be really busy. I got like 4 events coming up. I've got a dedicated admin that literally actually is supposed to book me with calendar events and stuff like that, from local BNIs to just hyper local investment groups and stuff like that. And it's cool because, again, I love going to those things too, because it also helps solidify that the online branding works. Because a lot of times when you enter the room, oh, I think we're friends on social media, and then it's like, probably.
Yeah.
And then, you get to talk, you get to see. Obviously, typical people are usually watching you, not commenting or liking, as I usually say. So it's great, and that has been awesome. One, it's allowed us to make friends too, right, and get close to people. Investor minding positioning, again, right, being the next I. Flipping it from can I qualify to why are you looking to qualify, right? What is the purpose of you buying an investment property? What is the person of buying the first property? Are you looking to live in it for 5 years or 10 years? Because that strategy is going to be different, right? I also need to know what other financial stuff you have going on as well, so I can connect you with our financial advisors, so I can connect you with a potential CPA, so I could show you some of this stuff, right? Obviously, the big, beautiful bill that got passed a couple of days ago, right? Whenever this gets shared, but that is huge because that also now is flipping things where now you could take additional tax deductions that you weren't able to. I just did a full-blown video about it, about 6 minutes, and I was trying to tighten it, but there was too much going on, and I probably still miss half the stuff, right? Student loans now. At one point, you were allowed to get them deferred. Now you actually can't. I didn't even read that. I mean, the bill's 900 pages, but I didn't know student loans you now can no longer defer. Now you can only go forbearance. So if you have income-related financial hardships, President Trump's like, hey, tough shit. You can only go through standard forbearance or probably go through like an income-based repayment. And I'm sure that's going to constantly change. Yeah. We've seen over the last couple of months, some clients get shocked that their credit score was bad because they had late payments and they may necessarily not check it as much, right?
Yeah.
C, being confidence through clarity, right? I mean, we've gotten so, I say, like, nasty with how, like, clear, like, when we're putting out these rate conversations, whether it's utilizing, obviously, Mortgage Coach or MBS Highway, we've kind of like taken both, and it could be good, it could be not. I mean, it's allowed us to lock at 100% of clients, no questions asked. But we're doing like a full-blown MBS Highway purchase comparison, a Mortgage Coach thing. Then we're utilizing like ChatGPT without identifying information to break it down to the client. And I've got a prompt, please explain it as if I'm talking to my 5-year-old son. And it breaks it down so clearly. And then we're actually using another platform that is literally like doing the PowerPoint presentation for the client. You're like, bam, bam, bam. The client reads it and they're like, we trust you. Well, I hope you trust me. We're about to close in a week.
Yeah.
But it's important for you to understand my thinking, because my advice might not necessarily be what you agree to. I don't need you to be comfortable with you. I need you to have confidence in the decision that you're making, because the comfort level is going to come from the confidence. And if I might be talking to you with big words or to tell me, I have no idea what the hell you just said. I have no idea what depreciation means, right? And then I will take 20 steps back and explain to you how it's constantly changing, how new bills are changing, where you could take bonus depreciation and bonus acceleration. So taking that, leveraging the next one with victory, the T being technology execution, and actually having access, right? PRMG is awesome. I love Robin and Paul and Robert and KP and Gary and everything that they built, but actually executing the tech, right? Corporate or any company, whether you're a lender or a broker or whatever, it's not about the number of tools that you have, that cliche saying. It's actually tech without leadership is just noise, right? You're just not implementing it. and you don't need to have 30 different platforms, right? I think when PRMG was doing the pilot with you guys, which has probably been over 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
And we were like one of the first ones, and I was like, yo, let's get in on it. We took it, and then we're constantly on call. I was on a call with Chris not too long ago, and he's showing me all this crap, and I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Because it's like, all right, now I got it. But then it also sometimes brings you back to I'm not putting too much of the key step side to it, where like there's the consumer side and where they can track the listings and stuff. So I think it's just not, you're actually building a machine with the technology rather than just sitting there and just spitting out a bunch of stuff and hoping that it sticks and trying to get a return and then canceling it 3 months later because you didn't see anything.
Yeah.
It takes time, and I have that conversation all the time with our team. And talking about that is the O being ownership mentality, right? Whether you're a loan officer, branch manager, area manager, regional, taking the ownership, right? I'm not going to wait for the economy to get better. I don't freaking know if rates are going to ever get to 3%, 4%, nor frankly do I care. I actually thrive in markets like these because a typical loan officer is likely struggling and is likely not looking or not having the right support. And, in a world of followers, the only ones that are crushing it are the ones that are actually building the table, right? We're building the infrastructure, and we're just kind of catering within that. And then, the last two, resilience, obviously. This market is tight. It's obviously, it's not the greatest. I think it was like 1.4 million homes that are out there, which is at like I forget the stat, but obviously still under pre-pandemic numbers, which again in Jersey on the East Coast is still super tight. I think it's probably even less than that. Inventory is still a concern here. I know certain areas are slowly starting to shift a little bit. Florida, Texas, California, you're kind of seeing a little bit of that inverted curve. And then the last one, you're not the go-to, right? Or you are the go-to, you're not the fallback.
Yeah,
right?
I love that one.
In chaos, clarity wins, right? With all this craziness. So I am always looking to pump out content after content after content and stay consistent with it, right? We do our Monday market updates. I go live 6 p.m. It's in my calendar. It's a non-negotiable. We've done it since November of 2023. And it's great because whether I even get one view on YouTube, I don't really care. Can I maximize more opportunity and pour some money and maybe get somebody to do more SEO and do this and do that? Probably. But that's my whole goal from that standpoint, is to really keep the consistent push of the content. If I'm consistent and confident, and I'm, again, unapologetically different, right? This is me. This is how I am. From our first call that we've had a couple years ago to now, it's the same stuff. It's the same goddamn background, right? Except maybe now PRMG's President's Cabinet was 2025. That's new. We got a cool little hat. But I think that's really it, right? It's going to come down to, your networking, the content that you're putting out there, the information that you're getting there, being with a trusted company too. And there's so many great companies out there, but I'm not going to wait for the market to save me, right? It's just not. It's the systems that I have, being authentic in my stories, right? Don't make stuff up. People can catch that a mile away. Dive into non-QM, right? It's a great program. Investors can care less about interest rates, right? As long as the property cash flows. I do an analysis with a lot of our bank statement programs. I mean, I have a client right now. He's putting 10% down on a bank statement loan. He's actually in my mastermind that I own. We met at a cornhole place. I sponsored this local cornhole place. I met him through our Chamber of Commerce. He's got a cool little like a board that says community sponsors. He's got a bunch, and I went for the first time, and of course I'm decked out in our gear. And then he's like, "Hey, would you like me to go on this?" And then I'm like, "Sure, why not?" He's like, $1,000. I'm like, "Okay, no problem." I'm like, "Get me your W-9, and I'll have our corporate team send it to you by next week." Never met the dude, never did anything. I think I got like 6 mortgages from there. Just conversations. He posts us, shares us on every single picture. They do events, they do this. Anytime he's got something going on, he's like, "Yo, can you come and actually talk to the guys?" And it's just like large stuff like PBAs and different cool little meetings. I mean, it's pretty crazy how cornhole is such a huge thing nowadays. Like somebody literally has a business for it. But it's great, right? When you're thinking from that level, instead of like, let me go buy Zillow leads. Let me go buy realty.com leads. Let me sponsor this. It's freaking expensive, one. And two, if you're not tracking those KPIs, right, of how many leads came in, contact established, no contact established, what leads suck. I have my team doing right now what I call our realtor assessment. We just passed the halfway point of the year. So for the last 6 months, right, and I give them a whole Excel spreadsheet, and I could track it through my CRM. I might go to the CRM and then go through every realtor partner, especially the ones that are using what I say are guerrilla warfare, actual platforms where we're helping you calls, we're setting up automation, we're diving in and stuff like that. And I want to know, you admins, right? We have 3 admins. You tell me, what would you grade each realtor from their follow-up, their social media presence, and just an overall assessment score if it's worth keeping them? And anyone that's under a 5, I'm cutting next week. Because it's just like we have a lot of partners that want to take advantage of the resources, and I have to time block each time within my team. And they're like, well, you're a dud, dude. Like, we closed 2 years last year and both deals were a headache. Does it really make sense for me to keep you around? Right. I mean, obviously share opportunities, but I might have to maybe pull back some of those resources and I'm okay having those uncomfortable conversations.
Sure.
Right. If I could double down my team instead of having 50 partners, and I can have 5 dedicated, trusted ones that we're going to go in there, we're going to dive in, I'm all for it. Right. And if I'm working with you, I had a partner, we cut ties in February, and I loved the guy. We got close and personal, as you know how I am. But constant complaints from his team was the leads suck. So I'm like, listen, leads always suck. There's nothing you can do, right? You got to go through the needle in a haystack. It's part of the game. It's a volume basis, or we can reassess the lead flow. But I know it's not the leads.
That's right.
I'm closing them, and I'm closing them with other agents after you guys have connected me with them, which tells me that the problem is the follow-up, unfortunately, on your side. And I shared those frustrations with said team leader. And I'm like, dude, I'm closing the deals. So I know it's to an extent not the leads, but if the client calls me and says, hey, we called Realtor ABC and they didn't pick up, so we went with Realtor XYZ. Can we still work with you? Of course, I'm like, yeah, but maybe we should try Realtor ABC one more time, just because that's my loyalty. That's the integrity I pour in. And I call and they don't answer. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. Right. I don't blame you for choosing a different real estate agent, especially buyers nowadays. They want that instant gratification right now, because who knows how the market is going to change freaking tomorrow.
That's right.
So yeah.
So, what strikes me on this conversation, Abdel, is you're not chasing anybody.
No.
You've and like I said, this is our 3rd time having this conversation on this podcast, and it's been consistent from the first time we did it almost 2 years ago. You're not chasing. You rely on a process. You're disciplined. I can tell you're disciplined by your traps, by the way.
I did shoulders yesterday, so they're a little still beefed up right now.
That's good. You work the arms in for the holiday weekend. I like that.
I do, and the gut, because God knows I ate.
Oh man, yeah. I got to work on that. So what I love is the process, but what to me is what's striking is, because you're executing on it on a consistent, disciplined basis, you're one of the few people that is able to have the conversation and actually cut partners, because you're so confident in the value that you're providing and your team is providing, that you don't have to waste time if someone's just not going to get on board. And the example that you just gave of the agent that unfortunately lost a deal because of their lack of discipline and follow-up, I would suspect if we were to go look that agent up in Model Match, they probably are at the very low end of the productivity tier.
100%. And I know, because of course, right, my team actually does it monthly, where I have them log in on our top few partners, and I have them send me model match analysis. They have like a whole thing. There's SOPs for everything. Actually, anytime I create an SOP for model match, I actually send it to Eric, and I'm like, yo, look what I just created. He's like, freaking awesome.
He loves it.
And you don't need to have, right? You don't need to have $100,000 support team in order to do it.
No.
If you yourself do not know how to use said platform or said process or build that system, you can't expect your marketing team or whatever fancy title people get nowadays, right?
Yep.
You can't expect them to do it. You have to sit there and learn how to do it and understand how it's going to integrate within your process. And then now, if I've shown you and I've given you a video recording and I've given you a step-by-step, we like to use Scribe to plug in within Google. And you have literally freaking screenshots of do this, do that, pull this, pull that. Now I can hold you accountable because I've showed you how to do it. I know it works. And my team's great because they can also say, hey, you know what, we think, and I'm always open, right? It's not my way is the best way. It's, hey, we think if we do this, it's more efficient. And then I'm like, shit, you're right. Yeah, let's try it. Let's track it. Let's see the open rate, right? We do our Monday market updates. Actually, I just changed it today, where we were originally creating it where a custom cover photo at the top for every single partner, thinking they were sharing it with their clients. So I went back and checked the click open rate, and they weren't even freaking opening the email. So now I was like, okay, maybe this is too tedious. And it was taking time. I could not figure out how to like ChatGPT update it with like all the partners. So I told the team, listen, today we're going to change it. We're going to create actually like one JPEG picture. And then I want you to email it, do the full blown market update too. And then simultaneously now also text it to each partner because now they have it in their phone. So it might be easier for them to grab it and text it to a client rather than maybe in the files. They got to download it, send it. So I think that's the important part too, right? We're holding ourselves accountable to those tools, to those tech stacks. Again, aligning yourself with the right company is critical, right? PRMG has always been great to us, and we're always talking with each others and masterminding, especially with KP. He's always, yo, dude, how are you doing this? To the point where some of our locking structures, right, where I've kind of had a step-by-step when we do the locks, and I share it with Chris Sorensen, and I'm like, yo, dude, I started doing this, and I actually started to see less PEs, right? Because clients were no longer telling me that, hey, questioning my rate or questioning this or questioning that. So I started seeing a lot more success that way. And I'm always open. We actually at the beginning of this year started running a collaborated roundtable for PRMG outside of leadership, outside of anyone's support, and it's just top producers. And we're just sharing. What are you doing?
Love that.
Like, how did you just crush it? How did you do this? Corporate's not in this call, so they're not necessarily hearing some of the stuff that you may necessarily be doing that is just working, right? And I think that positive, productivity has allowed us to really kind of collaborate with each other. So,
dude, I love it. I love what you're doing. I love watching you win. Clear victory. That is it. That's the name. That's the title of our episode today, Abdel. Guys, I'm gonna drop all these notes in the show notes, so you'll all have access to it. We'll include links to get you connected with Abdel if you want to learn more. But as always, Abdel, I appreciate you taking time to share your experience, expertise, and what's winning for you in this market with our audience.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time, my friend.
And for the rest of you, come back next Friday for the next episode of Loan Officer Life, where we will continue to hustle, have heart, and grow home ownership. See you guys.
Thanks, man.